Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Marco Dre Show, everybody. It is Friday, September 12th, 2025. The weekend is upon us. Thanks for tuning in to today's show to get all the relevant and groundbreaking news, both here in the United States and around the world. The only show where the facts are facts and hard truths thrive. Please be sure to hit that like button, follow the show, hit that notification tab, share it with as many people as possible to help spread the truth. But let's get ready now for the best hour that radio has to offer, uncensored and ready to go. I'm sure by now most of you have seen it. They've allegedly caught this assassin of Charlie Kirk, a 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson of Utah. You know, something's odd here. And I hate to start off with something a bit negative, but something is a little bit off here to me. It hasn't made much sense, this whole effort into trying to capture this guy. There's still many questions that I want answered here of how they've come to the conclusion that it's him. I'm reading here on the New York Post, says that Robinson was full of hate in the days before the shooting, according to a family friend. As authorities revealed, the 22-year-old had confessed the assassination and had been turned in by a relative after the suspect first said he would rather kill himself than go into custody. This is odd. It's all odd to me, what's happening right now. And I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, it's a deranged lunatic leftist. Has a hatred of Charlie Kirk, so he went crazy and did this. Something's odd here, though. Something's a bit odd. First of all, we have no idea how this putz, allegedly again, made it out of the roof. But are you telling me there's an open stairwell right to the roof of Utah Valley campus? I mean, I don't. First of all, how did he do that? How did he get up there without anyone noticing he was up there? Did he have access to it? Nobody tells us these things. First of all, he gets up on there. He's got a gun, allegedly, in his pants. And there's footage of him walking through the campus and actually through the town. And it looks like he's limping because apparently there's something in his jeans. So you tell me he makes his way all the way up to this rooftop and not a single person on campus knows this? Yet somehow students down below are able to, again, pull out their phones and take footage of this. They figure it out, but the security on campus can't figure it out. I mean, there's obviously cameras and obviously these hallways and schools. But you're telling me an area where you have to obviously get a key to get up to the rooftop? Gives them full access. And by the way, let me share this with you too. Whomever did this, if it is this Robinson, this person had to have tactical knowledge, training, a very high skill set to do this. I'm not saying it's impossible for the average hunter or anybody to do this. They do it all the time. So you have to tell me that this Robinson, and don't tell me, oh, he's holding a picture of a gun. Give me a break. Doesn't mean he's proficient in firearms at all, because he's holding a rifle and a couple pictures when he's 10 years old. This guy had to know, again, how to scope out the position, use the gun, and somehow he had to retreat very quickly to get away from this. But now they're telling us, and again, it's just odd to me, the way this is all coming out. They found the gun. It has, anti-fascist remarks on it, on the bullet. Hey, fascist, catch on the bullet. What is going on here? What is going on here? You're telling us he left all this purposely so we can find it? He leaves the spot where he shoots him. He jumps off the roof. He apparently has disabled this gun, collapsed it and put it in his backpack. Why didn't he just do that when he went up there? Yet he's got it in his pants, allegedly. This guy had to have gotten on that roof prior to this attack, scoped out this position to see exactly where a shot could be made where he could be successful. This wasn't just planned the day of. This guy had to have known to go up there. He probably went up there prior to this. Is what I'm have to guess. Yet somehow he was able to get up on this roof twice. Bring a firearm like that on campus. I believe it was a 30-06. Fire a shot. Disable the gun, put it in his backpack, and jump off a roof and then run away. Then he puts the gun back together with, again, this left-wing slogans on it. This pro-trans nonsense, this hey fascist nonsense on there. Leaves it in the woods and then continues to escape. Something's a bit odd here, folks. Why would you leave the gun behind? The one thing that can tie you to this murder, this assassination. Why would he do that? Doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense at all to me at all. Why would you do that? They've arrested 2 other people. Let them go. It's a bit odd to me, this whole situation. A bit odd to me. Doesn't make much sense. Did you see the FBI report too? Live on television? That's another thing. Kash Patel doesn't say a word, just let the governor speaks. Wouldn't Kash Patel have this information? Hey, we went through this social media account. Apparently he's admitting to it now. So that, again, why not turn yourself in right away if you're going to just admit to it? You got to run away? Leave the gun behind so they can find it? Use ballistics on it? Match the bullet to the gun of which you own? How do you get the gun? Is the gun even his? See, we're not given any of these answers, which makes me question this narrative a little bit more. Of course I want the killer found. Of course I want the killer brought to justice for this horrendous act. But again, this doesn't make any sense to me. But apparently he's a theater major? Are you kidding me? Doesn't make any sense to me. Let's listen to a little bit of this FBI press release, though, so we can figure out what the hell's going on here. And again, I just want to remind everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Again, I want to know exactly what this guy, just because someone says something hateful to, by the way, folks. Well, you see it all over social media. People are saying hateful things about Charlie Kirk, despicable things about Charlie Kirk. And as despicable and abhorrent as they are, just because you say something does not mean you are guilty of a crime. Just so thought I'd share that with you as well. Let's listen to this press conference. This is Governor Spencer Cox speaking first. Again, I'm not sure why Kash Patel's not speaking to us. Obviously, they've been investigating this since it happened. So, I want to know how we came to know that it's this guy. And I know some of you say, well, the parents turned him in. They believe it's him. Okay, but where is the scientific evidence now that it's actually this guy? What can we trace him to put him at the scene? Let's listen.
On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member...
Okay, that might all be true. I'll grant all this to him. He hated Charlie Kirk, this and that. What's the reason for the murder? I mean, come on. You're telling me this guy who's never committed a crime in his life just randomly snapped all of a sudden? Because he became political? What the hell does that mean? He became political. I've become more political in recent years too. What the hell does that have to do with anything? So you're telling me a Utah gun owner who had to have had proficiency in handling this gun. I'm not saying it's an impossible shot for a hunter, but it is somebody with tactical skill. It is someone that had to have had access to that roof prior to this. So you're telling me, if I'm understanding this correctly, Tyler Robinson got on that roof twice, scoped out the region, had to make sure everything was in place, got the right gun to do it, had the right settings on it, the right scopes, all that, right specs, everything like that. Knew how to get in position to make it a fatal shot. With one shot, by the way. Again, not saying it's impossible. You can hit a deer from 300 yards away today. But he's at an elevated position, so he's got to know exactly how to handle that firearm properly to make that shot, to make that killer shot, the fatal shot that killed Charlie. And again, we're not told, how did he get on this roof? How is it possible that someone could get on the roof of a college campus and nobody knows about it? Then we see him running off the roof. I understand there's turmoil happening at the time, right? But again, he jumps off the roof and then he's running away, again, with the gun allegedly in his backpack. So you're telling me in the moments after this fatal shot was taken, he's able to take apart the gun, put it in his backpack, but for some reason he came with it on the campus in his jeans, where he could walk by several people. Random people on campus are recording him on the roof in the prone position. And nobody else knew this? No security knows this? Again, something is off here. Something is definitely off here. He runs away, goes through the woods. Again, with this left-wing slogans written on the bullets, casing, or what have you, written on the gun. And now he attaches it together for the police to find? He confesses to it, but he said he'd rather be killed than go into custody. Something's odd here. Again, maybe we're dealing with a lunatic. I have no idea here. But something just doesn't add up to me in all this. Let's continue.
Also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The message...
Okay, so he's trying to evade police. And yet somehow he's going to leave this gun behind for people to find. Again, odd behavior. Doesn't really make any sense. If you're going to try to evade police and you're, all this, why would you stay in the same clothes for days on end, too? Obviously, he's on the campus. He's in a dorm. Why would he stay in the same clothes the whole time? Again, something just seems off to me. And again, I'm not saying... Actually, I don't know what I'm saying here. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense to me, what we're being told right now. Something just doesn't seem right. It has the perfect killer written all over it for some reason to me. So again, I want to know his history with firearms. I want to know if he legally has obtained this firearm. Where did he get this firearm too? So apparently he's had guns all of his life, but he's telling people he needs to find access to a rifle. And then he's telling people where he's going to leave a rifle. And they waited days to tell us this? I mean, I'm sorry. If a friend of mine comes to me and tells me, hey, I'm going to give you a rifle I just committed a crime with. I don't know, folks. I don't think I'm just going to sit on that for a day and then decide to call the police, call the authorities. Now, it's understandable the parents calling a little bit later that that's their kid on camera, because that picture hadn't been released till late yesterday when he became a person of interest. But something is definitely a little bit off here. Something's odd to me on the situation. And like many of you, I want this, whoever this is, brought to justice. That's what I want. But for some reason to me, just something feels off on this. Something's rotting in Denmark. I can't put my finger on it just yet. Again, the whole thing that doesn't make any sense to me too is this whole getting on the roof. How the hell does he get on the roof? You're telling me that the day of, he decides he's going to have access to the roof and he knows exactly how to get on the roof and get in that position, to be perched in that position? As a sniper would? With a gun, again, when you practice with anyone who owns a firearm knows this. When you first get a gun, you've got to figure it out. You got to figure out the feel of the gun. You got to feel if it's a right feel for you. Make sure the grip is right. Make sure everything is set up properly. You don't just get that a moment before and figure out right away how to use it. That's why I'm saying whoever made this shot was somebody who had great tactical experience. They had experience making shots like that prior. This is why it's so weird. It's not just, that's why I said it's not just some fringe left-wing lunatic like we're hearing about right now. Oh, he hated Charlie Kirk. He mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to town. This is why this seems off to me, because it doesn't make sense. How did he know he would have access to the roof? How did he know how to get on the roof? I have no idea how to get on the rooftop when I was in school. This is something that is planned well in advance. And yes, we know that Charlie made the announcement 6 days before. So then that gives me the reason to understand. He had to have had knowledge of, one, how to get on that roof. Two, he had to know how to use the firearm he was using. He didn't just pick it up the moment before. You know, when you have a gun and you set it up properly, you understand how it's used. You practice with that firearm before you become proficient with it. You don't just go and shoot 1 second and all of a sudden you're a proficient marksman. This takes time, often years. Again, elevated position. Okay, with the right scope, that's possible. But again, he's got to know how to use every single thing on this firearm. And you're telling me in moments, he makes this killer shot. He takes apart the firearm, puts it in his backpack, runs, jumps off the roof, and then puts it back together and leaves it in, where did they say he left it? In the woods, in a field, in a towel. I mean, it just doesn't make any bit of sense. What's the reasoning for that? There is no reasoning for that. It doesn't make any bit of sense. Let's listen just a little bit more and then we'll move on. I just wanted to go over this because this is what's being presented to us right now. I want you all to hear this. I want you all to hear my take on this. And again, I still stand behind the premise that whoever did this had to have skill of how to use that firearm. Tactical skill. Not just some fringe lunatic who picked up a gun one day. Not just someone full of hate. It had to have been someone who was, again, proficient in all this. So we need to see his history. We need to see, has this person a professional marksman? Okay, that gives us more reason to understand this. It just doesn't make any sense with the behavior for this. I understand getting rid of the gun, but you leave it in an open field like that? Right next to the campus? It's just very odd to me.
messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact, Tyler, also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there has been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow, and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbol.
All right. I've heard enough. I can't listen to much more of this. But the narrative is set on this. The narrative is, do we have him in custody? Do we know where he is? He's reportedly in custody right now. Apparently he confessed to it. I still want these questions answered. I want to know how this person was able to get on a roof on a college campus. Who gave him the access to this weapon? Did he have training with the weapon? What is his history with firearms? How he was able to take this shot, quickly disassemble it, and put it in his backpack. That's what I want to know. We need these answers. Do I think we'll get them? Probably not. Why would we? But again, something just seems a little bit off to me on this. I mean, these situations never feel right. I mean, again, this isn't just somebody shooting into a building and hitting people. This is somebody who's taking a very skillful shot. And I'm not saying it's impossible that it's him. But there are certain things that must be in place that show that it's this guy. He's got to have the skill set. He's got to have the ability to take this shot with the gun. So if he's got a scope, what kind of scope? We need answers to this. Is that scope able to let him zero in 200 yards? It's not a close shot. It's not an impossible shot. Does he have any training with weapons like this? I understand the hateful rhetoric, and I understand that people want to get whoever did this to justice. I do too. And if it is him, he needs to be held to the full extent of the law and charged. But there are certain things that had to have happened prior to this. This isn't just coming from someone full of hate. This is coming from a deranged human being, someone with vast knowledge and tactical skill to make this shot, and someone that knows how to have access to the roof of this building. This was something planned days and days prior to this. That's why I say this seems a little odd. It would just be the spur of the moment type thing. It just seems a little bit too convenient. The gun has all this left-wing, anti-fascist this, pro-trans that, written all over it. From a musical theater major, of all things. Just a little bit odd to me. Again, not saying it's not him. I mean, again, taking the gun apart alone in and of itself is something that I think is impressive. It's not easy to do. Taking and then putting it back together, it just doesn't make any sense to me. If he's trying to get rid of the weapon, why is he putting everything back together? Why is he leaving an open field in a towel where someone could see it? But the ballistics, again, there should be a ballistics test. When was the gun last fired? The ballistic match the shooter. All these things need to be answered. And that's all my take on that aspect of it. We'll keep everybody informed about what's updated on this situation as time progresses. Paul Craig Roberts had a good article today, though. He asked why was Charlie Kirk assassinated? And he answers like this. He says, because he was a leader beyond the control of the ruling establishment. The ruling establishment has never tolerated leaders that are not within their pawns. Think about Martin Luther King. He was a rising leader of the black Americans. And some white Americans were beginning to see some merit in the man. Like all humans, King had all of his faults. I won't go through all of them right now. I'm sure many of you listening know what some of them are. But he spoke reconciliation, not only between black and white Americans, but also between the United States and the world. The establishment eliminated the leadership threat. Think of the 8-year effort to politically assassinate Donald Trump. And again, I go back to the news media that foments much of this hatred. And you saw the hatred right after Charlie's death. Was it Matt Dowd goes on MS Nobody Cares? Oh, maybe it was somebody fired a gun off at the audience. Really? You putz you dumb schmuck you loser you. Thank God he's fired. Thank God. Why would you have trash like that on your show? Then you look at Congress. Lauren Boebert tries to have a minute of silence for Charlie Kirk, and you have the Democrats screaming no. This all plays into Russiagate, Documentsgate, Insurrectiongate, January 6th, 4 criminal indictments, civil suits to confiscate his assets, constant media hostility, and backlash. Have you ever heard these news organizations give Donald Trump any bit of credit at all for anything? But again, when I think Donald Trump is doing something that I don't agree with, I tell you that. And I tell you why. But it doesn't come from a place of hate. This all stems from hate. The accusations of he's a Nazi, he's a dictator, he's not going to leave office. We had commercials. Remember that? We had that one commercial. Little kid in bed, the parent comes and says, oh no, Donald Trump's still in office, he's not going to leave. Oh no. We have a dictator, we have a king, no king. So it's a ridiculousness. Absolute ridiculousness. And the same thing that has been applied to Donald Trump has been applied to Charlie Kirk. I've seen some of the most vitriolic hatred extended to Charlie Kirk. And I cannot find any proof that anything they're saying is actually factual. They're saying he was a racist. I saw 3 videos just yesterday of black women coming up to speak to him, and he's been giving them nothing but kindness, nothing but graciousness. He's campaigned and canvassed for Vivek Ramaswamy to become the governor of Ohio. Sitting down and speaking with him. He sat down with Dr. Ben Carson at a conference. None of this makes any sense, what they have. Charlie Kirk is not a racist, man. He's not a misogynist. Why? Because he feels women are better being mothers than they would be in the workforce? Again, that's his position. He can have that position. You don't have to agree with that position, but that's what he believes in. And he explains why. Charlie Kirk never says you had to agree with everything he said. He is sharing his perspective. And he's using facts to back it up. And it makes sense for many people. That's why Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action have become so huge. That's why his podcast is huge. His radio show. And again, Kirk is now credited with leading American youth to come back to God, to come back to family values. That's what pisses off a lot of these leftists that say all these things about him that aren't even true. Again, the racist, the homophobic, the transphobic, misogynist, xenophobe, all these things. It's moronic. Well, because he was pro-Second Amendment, he deserves to be shot? What kind of stupid bullcrap is this? These people, again, they have no values. That's the problem with these people. They don't believe in God. They can't stand God. They don't believe in family values. They don't believe in the family culture. They don't believe in having a family. God knows many of them are on drugs and alcohol. But he tried to move people away from drugs and alcohol. The video game, the entertainment violence, pornography, all these things. This is a threat. This threatens, certainly, commercial profits, but it certainly threatens the 1960s counterculture that we saw. Again, I didn't see it. I wasn't alive then, but some of you may remember it. The 1960s counterculture, what it brought. And it pushes people in this direction. The hookup culture, the drug culture. The I deserve everything because I exist culture. The self-esteem movement of 1970. Remember that? Everybody's fantastic. George Carlin did a bit of this. Everybody's fantastic. Because you breathe air, you're special. You have to achieve anything. Don't worry about it. Hate the government, but of course you believe in bigger government. That makes plenty of sense, right? And again, a lot of these ideas are fomented on these campuses where he's challenging the status quo, as I said to you just yesterday. But he is challenging this establishment. He's showing you with his own life that a belief in God puts you in a better place, morality-wise, spiritually-wise. You're brought on by a higher calling. And Charlie believed that. That is exactly what it comes down to. He challenged the ruling establishment, and this is a problem for them. This is a big problem for them. So when I tell you these things, this hatred of Charlie Kirk, these lies about Charlie Kirk, are the same lies that are given to Donald Trump. Neither man is perfect. No one is. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But the idea that violence is the only bit of answer to this shows you that this is a learned behavior, again, brought on by the media, brought on by the politicians, brought on by the entertainment scumbags out there, the actors. Remember the whole actors thing? You know, Johnny Depp saying, when's the last time president was assassinated? Madonna saying she wants to blow up the White House. All this violence. Again, by these people that many hold in regard. I don't hold any of these people in high regard to anything. I don't idolize a damn one of them. Charlie Kirk threatens each and every one of these establishment types. But he showed it to you with his own life. And that was what was so special about Charlie. He was that leading example. He said he's not perfect. He has sinned before. But he's trying to get up and be a better man every day. A better man for his wife. A better man for his children. A better man for his country and his community. Hell, he even moved to Arizona because he said, this is a hotbed for conservatism right now. And I want to be right in the middle of it. Oh, by the way, one of the other things, too, that the left-wing clowns tried to accuse him of. Oh, and he tried to divide people. When the hell did Charlie Kirk try to divide anybody? I still can't find a clip where he's trying to divide anybody. And of course, that he only was for white men, apparently. I still have yet to find a clip for that. What, because he believes in border security? Legal immigration in the country? Deporting illegal aliens? What the hell is going on here? But again, these morons, these low IQs, they don't really watch politics too much. They hear things about somebody. They run with it. They never listen to Charlie. I can tell these people have never listened to Charlie Kirk once. And if it is, it's maybe for just a brief moment so someone can make a point about him. They don't listen to the man. They don't understand how to listen. They don't care to listen. The only thing they know is hatred. But the idea that Charlie was a threat to this ruling establishment is something that we need to keep our minds in, because that is something that is scary. Absolutely scary. And again, this is why I think it was... This is the reason why I see this happen to him. Again, he's been doing this for 13 years. He's received death threats, of course, but something is odd here. This is why I say this was something that was organized. It was something that was planned very much prior to this. The rifleman had to be very skilled. And we need answers to all these things, too. That's what I want to share with each and every one of you. Moving on, I want to share this also. Because, again, this just illustrates this hatred in America that we're seeing, especially among our youth. 1 in 3 college students believes in violence to stop campus speech. Imagine that. Words scare these people. Words scare these people so much they believe that violence is the key to all this. The only way to get your point across is to become violent towards somebody. Have you ever heard of anything so insane in your entire life? 1,360 students said it was acceptable to use violence. Imagine that. Let's say you disagree on something. They believe it's okay to clock you upside your head or harm you or kill you because you disagree with their point of view. Again, their point of view, which oftentimes many of them can't even back up. That's a big problem as well. And I'm sure that gets tiresome after a while. You believe in this. You've been told something your entire life. Your stupid college professor continues to tell you these things. And all of a sudden, Charlie makes sense, and that upsets you. It's an intrusion in your belief system, in your brain. And you don't like it. So what do? You resort to violence. You get angry. You get upset. You get volatile. It's absolutely insane to me that these people, again, they pretend to be tolerant. They pretend to be about liberty. They don't care about liberty or tolerance. The only thing they care about is coercion and power and controlling your speech. Now, this survey, which questioned more than 68,000 students, it goes on to say, at 257 colleges and universities nationwide, on a variety of free speech topics, asked, how acceptable would you say it is for students to engage in the following actions to protest a campus speaker? So think about a Charlie Kirk, think about a Dinesh D'Souza, or a Ben Shapiro, or Michael Knowles, or whomever you want to consider, people that go onto these college campuses and speak. Using violence to stop a campus speech. So again, Charlie Kirk's coming into your town. He's coming to your college. He's going to be speaking to everybody that wants to come. Is using violence to stop a campus speech appropriate? 2% said that it was always acceptable. Remember, 2% of this 68,000 people. Always acceptable to use violence. 13% said sometimes it's acceptable. 19% said rarely acceptable, and about one-third of those that were surveyed. That is a lot of people who just on a whim can decide if they want to do something that is harmful to somebody else. The murder of Charlie Kirk was not the action of one man, but a culture that has been incubated on college campuses that occasionally gets called liberal. They're not liberal, of course. These people are left-wing extremists. They don't care about human life. We see this in people's stances with abortion. Charlie was very adamant and opposed to abortion. But think for a minute. You have 2% or 1,360 people that say always using violence to stop people from using their constitutional protection of freedom of speech. It's okay for you to go and use violence. They don't specify how much violence. They don't say. But I'd be willing to make $1 billion bet that these 1,360 people would seem to think it is absolutely fine what happened to Charlie Kirk on September 10th. Absolutely. It is disgusting. I've never disagreed with someone and thought, geez, you know what I really want to do is just go hit this person right now so they stop talking to me. They don't understand the purpose of a debate. But what they are kind of cowered into believing that Charlie Kirk's a Nazi, Charlie Kirk is this, Charlie Kirk is that. And what do you do to a Nazi? You hit him, right? You kill him. That's all you can do. They use the exact same verbiage with Donald Trump. Donald Trump's Hitler, Nazi, fascist, dictator, king. He's going to remove democracy from you. people hear this. People are impressionable. Then they join some radical group. Think Antifa. Think Black Lives Matter. Then it's okay to burn $2 billion worth of property across the United States. It's okay to kill 34 people or 35 people, whatever it was. During the George Floyd riots, it's okay to bash in storefronts, to loot stores. I saw one woman said, hey, this is our reparations because of slavery. That's amazing. Someone who was never a slave is talking about reparations for having family that possibly could have been a slave. It's amazing to me. Absolutely amazing to me how stupid people are in this country. There is no value with these people. There's no conscience with these people. And we need to understand this left-wing media, these left-wing politicians, these people that are figures in entertainment or sports or whomever that go on to foment this hate. That's why they're there, by the way, to foment more hate in many regards. You see your favorite actor get up and start preaching hatred. Oh my God, I agree with this person because I liked him in this movie. Don't you have a brain? Don't you think for yourself? That's the problem. There is no free thought. There is no freedom of expression. There is nobody out there telling you it's okay to disagree with somebody, so long as you have a reason, I suppose, for agreeing on it. If you hold your own convictions and you believe in that for whatever reason, I suppose. Now, if it's not mirrored with reality, that's a big problem. And it's okay to call that out if there is something to back that out. We could talk about the transgender movement and the trans ideology. We could talk about what that is all about. How it's not based on anything scientific. It's not based on anything realistic. We can talk about these things. We can share science, but these people don't give a damn. It is just simply their belief that anything goes. Unless, of course, you're a religious Christian white male. Then you got to go. And that's all I'm going to say on that today. Understand who hates you. And understand that these people don't care if you die. They would be more than happy if you died. And we cannot live with these types of people. So if it is this, what's this putz's name? Tyler Robinson? If it is this putz Tyler Robinson, again, he's innocent till he's proven guilty in a court of law by his peers. But just understand, there are people like this that, yes, they are full of hate and they wish to do you harm. And the sooner you understand that, the better. The better. Now, speaking of hate, we were discussing earlier how the left would not accept a moment of silence in the House for Charlie Kirk after he was assassinated. This was taken just a moment, I think it was the day after, if I'm not mistaken. This is Schmuck Toomer of New York, and of course, Hack Jeffries, also of New York. Two morons who are psychopaths, in my estimation, when it comes to fomenting hatred. Yeah, they can always foment the hatred, and they try to call it back a little bit. Then they push more hatred. Right? They can't bring people... So again, if you're opposed to this violence, why not have a moment of silence for somebody? Hakeem, how come you can't reel in your radical elements of your party, which is pretty much everybody, to come together for 1 minute of silence for a man who's just been murdered? We didn't even know who murdered him at that point. Now, Donald Trump had blamed the radical left for Kirk's assassination. So this was their response. Take a listen.
Can we get your reaction to President Trump blaming the radical left for what happened to Charlie Kirk?
I apologize. It's tough to hear the reporter here. She says, what is your reaction for President Trump blaming the radical left for Charlie Kirk's assassination?
Well, look, the bottom line is this is a time that all Americans should come together and feel and mourn what happened. Violence, which affects so many different people of so many different political persuasions, is an affliction of America. And coming together is what we ought to be doing, not pointing fingers of blame.
What's interesting about this, coming from a guy like Chuck Schumer, who is a low-grade moron, by the way, a do-nothing, a man who collects a check from the government. Somehow he's elected back in office since 1999. I have no idea how the hell that's possible. This is the same guy who threatened Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Gorsuch, you'll all remember this, on the steps of the Supreme Court. Remember he said, you've released the whirlwind. Remember that? Nothing happened to him, of course. You've released the whirlwind. You won't know what hits you if you go through with this, which is adjudicating a position that's brought to the court. I forget what it even was. It doesn't really matter. He goes on television, says the intelligence agencies have, 7 ways from Sunday to get you? Yeah, this is Chuck Schumer. Again, fomenting this hatred towards the other political persuasion, and he's okay with preaching hate. He's okay with all of it. Lying about Donald Trump day in and day out. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's hear what Jeffrey has to say.
This moment requires leadership that brings the American people together.
So then why didn't you have your colleagues in your political party, of whom you lead, have a moment of silence to come together? Why did you stay divided? That's the question. Did Hakeem Jeffries say, listen, everybody, we need to stay quiet right now. Just moment of silence for a man who just was killed. Please, everyone, observe this. That would have been a moment of bringing people together. They're not interested in that. They show you they're not interested in it while pretending to give a damn. And that might be the one of the sickest things ever. They lie about what they do. They try to scale back when something awful has happened. And it's absolutely appalling to me to see such a thing. By the way, while everything was happening with 9/11 and, of course, the assessment about what happened with Charlie Kirk's assassination, this is the Wall Street Journal. I was going to go over it yesterday, but I just couldn't muster up myself to do this. I couldn't do it. It says here, senators call for hearings about JPMorgan's ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Isn't that interesting? Right when you were not paying attention to it, you were focused on something else. This came out, and no one has said a damn word about this. 10 Democrat senators are calling for a congressional hearing about JPMorgan Chase's decision to keep Jeffrey Epstein as a bank client for about 15 years. Senator Elizabeth Warhead, a moron from Massachusetts, and by the way, full of hatred too, by the way, always full of hatred, mocking Charlie Kirk after finding out that he had been killed. Disgusting human being right here. The ranking Democrat on the Senate Banking Committee, I don't know how you put her on that, said that JPMorgan chief executive Jamie Dimon and other executives should testify under oath about what they knew about Epstein's crimes and if they ignored red flags about his activities. This is interesting to me, not only because of his association with the bank, but because JPMorgan Chase, Deutsche Bank, paid out millions, hundreds of millions of dollars each. I think JPMorgan paid almost $800 million. Deutsche Bank was like $200 million, something ridiculous like that, to these alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if these banks are paying out this money from one of their clients about activities he was involved in or money that he received or used, that's a pretty big thing. But they're not interested in that, are they? Are there any red flags you saw? Come on. These people are so pathetic. It's so ridiculous. They pretend to care, but they really don't care. They just use that as a talking point. Me, on the other hand, I want to get to the bottom of this. I want to understand what's going on here. Epstein had dozens of accounts at JPMorgan's private bank and communicated often with bank executives, connecting them with his wealthy contacts. By the way, one of them was Benjamin Netanyahu. Just thought I'd share that part with you. Ties to the Wall Street Journal. First reported in 2023 to be deeper than understood. Epstein was a JPMorgan client before and after he was convicted of soliciting a minor for prostitution back in 2008 and forced to register as a sex offender. Then arrested again in 2019, accused of orchestrating a scheme to traffic and sexually abuse girls, and died in jail of what has been ruled as a suicide. Well, that's a bunch of nonsense. He wasn't suicided. I don't believe that for a second. I'm sure most of you that actually study it believe the same damn thing. How did he kill himself? With paper blankets in a cell with nothing on the ceiling to hang yourself from. Oh, it's so funny, folks, the stories they tell us. They expect you to believe. It's so ridiculous. But notice this has been hushed up. And I'm sorry to say, even by Republicans on the Hill. We need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know why JPMorgan, and it's not in this article, in the Wall Street Journal, but we need to know why they dished out this money if there was no one to accuse Jeffrey Epstein of these crimes. Why did he pay out this money? What were these activities that he was allegedly involved in? Who was giving him this money? And, of course, whom did he receive the money from? Did he give money out to any people? Yeah, we need to know all these answers. A spokeswoman for JPMorgan, though, said that it was a mistake to have any association with Epstein and that it regards its association with him. We fired him as a client in 2013, 6 years before he was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges, and 6 years after the federal government had damning information on him that they did not publicly share. Jeffrey Epstein, folks, there you go. Unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. I got to be honest with you. Charlie Kirk, this is also in the Wall Street Journal, by the way. Let's go over this one next. We got a few more minutes remaining. Charlie Kirk, his killing sparks tensions and security fears at Capitol Hill. It says here that House Speaker Mike Johnson and other congressional leaders implored colleagues to turn down the political temperature following the killing of Charlie Kirk, but tensions remain high on Capitol Hill. While Johnson avoided casting blame, President Trump, who escaped an assassination attempt last year in Butler, Pennsylvania, blamed the radical left political violence for Kirk's killing. That change was echoed by some hardline lawmakers in Capitol Hill, which ratcheted up tensions with Democrats who cited Trump's frequent use of inflammatory language. Look at the language they use. I mean, look, point to anybody. Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, anyone on the squad, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. You listen to any one of these people. Constant hatred towards Donald Trump. Have they ever, again, I ask you this, have they ever given him one shred of an appreciation or a thanks or an acknowledgement of something that he's accomplished? They never have, and they never will. It is complete partisan politics. I mean, look at this. It's unbelievable what's happening. You know, the left, Democrat Party, allowed this to happen, and I'm sick of that, said Nancy Mace. She used an expletive in there. I won't use it. Another representative from Missouri said that Thursday on the House floor that leftist ideology is pure evil and that they will literally kill those whom they disagree. We know this to be true by the article I just read, likening them to Joseph Stalin and Pol Pot. Representative Paulina Luna of Florida, who was close to Charlie Kirk, said on X, "We are not murdering people, leftists are." The FBI has now shared images of this person of interest, as many of you know, as I've shared earlier in the show. And again, the narrative that it's a left-winger, that it's somebody on the left who simply hates Charlie Kirk is what's being touted right now. I don't know what to make of this, but I do know that the hatred coming from these politicians, from these news pundits and the left-wing media is a real thing. Absolutely a real thing. Again, you could go listen to any one of them, and you'll hear it. You'll absolutely hear it from each and every one of them. I don't think I need to play you any more compilations of this. Eric Holder, I told you yesterday, telling people to go out and kick people, punch them in the face. Robert De Niro, same thing, punch people in the face. All these left-wingers resorting to violence. You have people receiving awards in Hollywood telling you about, go out and punch somebody in the face that disagrees with you. That's them. This becomes normalized, then it becomes desensitized, then it becomes okay. That's why you have so many young people going out there saying, wow, this is great. I can't believe it. It really, really is sickening. Let's go on to another topic here. This is in the Hill. It says that California lawmakers passed ban on masks for federal immigration agents. Too bad that the ICE agents do not work for the state of California. They work for the federal government. Too bad the schmucks in Sacramento can't figure this out. California lawmakers have sent legislation to Governor Gavin Newsom that could prohibit federal immigration and customs enforcement officers from wearing masks while carrying out raids in the state. Again, Gavin Newsom can't enforce anything like this. He can't. They don't work for Gavin Newsom. They work for Donald Trump. So they're going to run into a big problem here with this. It's probably not going to go anywhere. But I think it's funny they want to, again, use this to deter ICE from doing their job. That's what they want. Now, California, LA in particular, has become obviously this major focus of ICE. And, of course, these operations, both over the summer and now, despite seeing these mass protests that have erupted in workplace raids, the president deployed National Guard troops and Marines to protect the federal properties, which Donald Trump has every right to do because it's federal land. And again, sparking this ongoing court battle with these people. The masks are essential for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't want to be doxxed. You don't want to be seen. You don't want to be doxxed. You want people to report where you live. That could put you, could put your family in danger. So we see this. And the reason they want to do this is because they know people will not do this afterwards. If a mob could show up to their house, as we've seen by the left, showing up to Rand Paul's house, Justice Kavanaugh's house, these things happen. And while Tom Homan says, I don't particularly like masks, but the ICE officers need the mask because their families are being doxxed. And that's what it comes down to. Their families are being doxxed. Their children are being doxxed. Their families have been put in harm's way by these, again, radical, left-wing, military psychopaths. That's what it is. It's no different what happens when they protest ICE than what you saw happen at this Turning Point USA event. All right. I got to talk about one more article quick. I was going to go over a health article today. I wanted to share with everybody. I'll share it with you on Monday's show, though. I want to get this out before the weekend hits. And it's this AB 495 in California. And it just passed. What did it pass? It just passed on the 10th. Yep. Passed the California Senate on the 10th. It had already been passed in the Assembly. So now it goes to Gavin Newsom's desk for a signature, which I'm absolutely sure he will sign. I'm going to read a little bit of this to you. I want you to understand that this is a massive blow to parental rights in California and, of course, the safety and well-being of your children. So if you're in California, take a listen to this. AB 495 is amended by Celeste Rodriguez under the guise of the Family Preparedness Act of 2025. Begins by saying, under existing law, a caregiver who is 18 years of age or older and signs a caregiver's authorization affidavit. You're going to hear that a lot. A caregiver's authorization affidavit. Under penalty of perjury for a minor who lives in their home, is authorized to enroll the minor in school and consent to the school-related medical care on behalf of the minor. Under existing law, a caregiver who is 18 years of age or older signs the caregiver's authorization affidavit under penalty of perjury, and who is a certain type of relative of the minor who lives in the home has the same rights to authorize medical care and dental care for the minor that are given to guardians, as specified. Under existing law, a person who acts in good faith reliance on a completed caregiver's authorization affidavit to provide medical care or dental care without knowledge of facts contrary to those stated on the affidavit is not subject to criminal or civil liability or professional disciplinary action for that reliance, but is not relieved from liability for violations of other provisions of law. This bill, the Family Preparedness Plan Act of 2025, would revise the definition of relative. Understand how they're changing the language here. To expand the type of relative who is authorized to execute a caregiver's authorization affidavit and grant them the same rights to authorize school-related medical care as defined for the minor that are given to guardians as specified. by expanding who is authorized to sign a caregiver's authorization affidavit for the purposes under penalty of perjury. This bill would expand the crime of perjury, thereby imposing a state-mandated local program. This bill would amend the statutory form of a caregiver's authorization affidavit. So what's happening in California, besides all-out insanity? Understand this, folks. They are trying to change who has access to your children. They're trying to hold some type of position that if you're a relative of a child or you know a child, anybody over the age of 18 can basically come in and say, oh yeah, I know Jimmy. I'm going to sign this for him. Or I know Jimmy. I'm going to sign him out of school today. Do you see how crazy this is? Do you see how insane this is that they can try to do this and supersede a parent's role in the child's life? And it's all stemming from the public school systems. When you see all this, absolutely appalling, folks. That's why I tell you need to know where your kid is at all times. And this bill needs to be fought. Absolutely needs to be fought. I told you, Gavin Newsom was one of the most anti-parental governors in the nation. Probably in American history. And people seem to think that's absolutely fine. Folks, thanks for joining the show today. Share it with some friends. Get this truth out. Stay vigilant. Stay blessed. Stay busy. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you Monday on the next Mark Andre Show. Be good.